The courtroom was supposed to be silent. It was supposed to be controlled, dignified, respectful. But when Chrissy Lampkin walked through those heavy double doors, the world stopped breathing. Reporters stood frozen, phones trembling in their hands as the woman who had weathered storms, betrayals, and public humiliation finally collapsed under the crushing weight of one devastating truth. She didn't just cry, she broke. And in that moment, the scandal that had already swallowed Harlem whole reached its most explosive chapter yet. Because Chrissy wasn't just facing questions from lawyers, she was facing Kamran's secret. Evidence so shocking, so catastrophic that when it went viral, it shattered every illusion the public ever had about love, loyalty, and legacy. The courtroom became a battlefield. And Chrissy became the unwilling star of the most viral meltdown in celebrity history. Imagine the sound of her voice cracking as she screamed. "You don't know what I've lived through?" Imagine Kamran, smirking in his tailored suit, sliding a flash drive across the table that would change everything. Imagine the audience gasping as the judge struggled to maintain control. While outside the courthouse, thousands of fans live-streamed every second. Hashtags exploding worldwide. This wasn't a trial anymore. This was an execution. And the evidence Kamran unleashed didn't just put Chrissy on the stand, it put Jim Jones, Dipset, and an entire cultural dynasty in the line of fire, and the world. The world couldn't look away. The courtroom buzzed with an energy so thick, it was almost unbearable. Reporters filled every bench, microphones and cameras pressed against the wooden rail. While fans camped outside the courthouse, chanting, filming, live streaming, desperate for a glimpse of Harlem history imploding. In real time. Everyone knew something explosive was about to happen. But no one could have predicted the magnitude of the chaos Kamran was about to unleash. The second he placed the silver flash drive on the table, the room erupted. The prosecutor objected. Chrissy froze in her chair, and Jim Jones, sitting stiffly in the gallery, leaned forward with an expression so cold, it felt like the entire room dropped in temperature. The judge slammed her gavel, demanding order. But order was already gone. When the drive was opened and its contents revealed, it wasn't just evidence. It was a digital time bomb. Projected onto a screen at the front of the court were leaked. Text messages, screenshots so sharp they felt like daggers. Chrissy's name glowed at the top of the chat bubble. The words, "devastating. If Jim finds out, it's over for all of us." Another message, "Cam said he'd protect me. I can't keep lying forever." The gallery gasped. Court reporters frantically scribbled. Twitter exploded with live updates. And outside the courthouse, the crowd's roar could be heard through the thick glass. Fans refreshed their phones every 5 seconds. Hashtags like #Chrissy in court and #CamEvidence instantly flooding the trending lists. But the texts were just the opening act. Next, Cam's legal team queued up a voice recording. Static filled the speakers for a moment before a trembling female voice spoke. "I don't know how to tell him if Jim ever sees the truth, it'll kill him." Gasps filled the courtroom. The voice was clearly Chrissy's. And then came another voice, unmistakable, low, calm, confident Kamran. "The truth always comes out. You better decide who you're standing with," Chrissy snapped. Her body shook violently as she screamed, "That was private. You can't do this." Tears streamed down her face as she buried her head in her hands. The judge tried to calm her, but her sobs echoed across the chamber, raw and uncontrollable. Reporters scribbled every word. Fans outside live tweeted. Chrissy just melted down. She's screaming in court. The meltdown spread instantly. TikTok. Creators cut together clips of Chrissy breaking down, layering them with dramatic music. While Twitter users turned her sobs into memes within minutes. But beneath the mockery, the tragedy was undeniable. Chrissy Lampkin, woman who'd stood tall through decades of drama, was crumbling before the entire world, and then Cam delivered the dagger. A grainy video flickered onto the screen. Footage from a Miami hotel lobby. A man in a pink hoodie, a woman in oversized sunglasses. They lingered near the elevator, hands brushing together before slipping inside. The time stamp, the exact weekend Jim Jones was across the country, performing in Los Angeles. The courtroom erupted in chaos. The audience screamed, the judges. Gavel pounded uselessly, and Jim's entire body stiffened in his seat. His jaw clenched, fists balled, but his eyes never left the screen. Chrissy sobbed harder, covering her face, whispering, "Please, no, not this." The footage ended with the elevator doors closing, sealing the scandal in grainy black and white, and sealing Chrissy's fate in the court of public opinion. Outside, the footage spread across the internet like wildfire. Fans compared screenshots side by side with past photos of Cam and Chrissy, pointing out identical jewelry, matching sneakers, the exact shape of Chrissy's sunglasses. That's them, no doubt. One viral tweet read, another captioned that clip caught red-handed. Harlem's done. But the nightmare wasn't over. As if the texts, recordings, and video weren't enough, Cam's lawyer dropped one final piece of evidence into the record and email chain. Projected on the screen, the subject line read, "Confidential results." The words inside were partially blurred, but one line burned like fire. Second, test confirmed. Confidentiality is critical. The implication was nuclear. Not only had Chrissy been caught in Cam's orbit, she'd been caught hiding medical results, DNA tests, evidence of something deeper and more devastating than anyone had prepared for. The gallery shouted in disbelief. Reporters nearly fell out of their seats. And Chrissy wailed uncontrollably, her body shaking as if the weight of every secret she'd ever buried was crushing her in real time. Jim's face remained carved from stone. He didn't blink, didn't flinch, but his knuckles turned white as he gripped the wooden bench in front of him. Fans live streaming outside screamed updates into their phones. Jim looks like he's about to snap. The gavel pounded again, finally forcing a moment of silence, but it didn't last. As the court adjourned for the day, Cam leaned toward his lawyer, lips barely moving, but the microphone caught it anyway. His words echoed across the chamber, chilling everyone to the bone. They haven't even seen the real file yet. The world froze. The real file. What could possibly be worse than what had already been exposed? Twitter exploded again. #RealFile trending within minutes. Reddit. Threads ballooned with theories. TikTok creators filmed themselves pacing their rooms, whispering, what else could he have? As Chrissy was escorted out of the courtroom, sobbing, and shielding her face, cameras captured Jim storming out the opposite door. Jaw clenched so tight, it looked like it might crack. Cam, however, walked calmly, smirking slightly, refusing to answer reporters' questions as flashbulbs lit the steps of the courthouse. The internet didn't sleep that night. Blogs churned out articles by the hour. YouTubers posted emergency live streams, dissecting every leak, every text, every second of the Miami footage. One gossip page claimed to have insider knowledge that the real file contained DNA evidence, while another insisted it held a confession video Chrissy had recorded and begged Cam to keep hidden. Fans flooded comment sections with wild theories. Some swore Cam was bluffing, trying to break Chrissy down further. Others believed he was sitting on the ultimate piece of evidence, saving it for the perfect moment to burn her completely. And then, just before midnight, an anonymous Twitter account posted 3 chilling words. Check the folder. Attached was a blurry screenshot of a desktop directory. The title at the top, Chrissy Confidential. Inside, dozens of file names glowed, some labeled recordings, others called receipts. And one folder, sitting like a bomb in the middle of the list, carried a single word, DNA. Internet lost its mind. Screenshots spread faster than wildfire. TikTokers screamed into their cameras. A quitter collapsed under the weight of speculation. Everyone knew the first day of trial had been explosive. But now, the world realized it was only the beginning. The phrase "check the folder" became an instant rallying cry across the internet. It was tweeted, memed, shouted on TikTok lives, and whispered in Reddit threads as if it were a prophecy. That blurry screenshot of a desktop labeled Chrissy Confidential had set the world on fire. And all eyes turned to one single folder inside it: DNA. For hours, fans refreshed their feeds, desperate for a leak. Theories poured in. Some insisted Cameron had held on to secret DNA tests to confirm his connection to Chrissy's child. Others claimed the folder contained multiple reports, one proving him the father, another proving someone else was. The ambiguity was intoxicating. And then at 3:17 a.m., the first clip dropped. A shaky screen recording uploaded to TikTok showed someone scrolling through the folder. Dozens of files flashed past Miami.mp4, VoiceNote3.wav, test_results_final.pdf. The uploader's finger hovered over the PDF before the clip cut off abruptly. The caption read, "This changes everything." The internet erupted. Twitter melted down with hashtags like #CamDNA, #ConfidentialFolder, and #CourtFiles. Fans screamed at each other in comments, "It's fake. It's real. That's definitely Chrissy's voice file." Every second felt like a new bomb was dropping, even though the actual file remained locked away. But within hours, another leak surfaced, this time an audio file. The voice was shaky, emotional, terrified. "I never wanted him to know. I begged you to destroy the papers. Cam, why did you keep them?" A pause. Then Cam's voice, cold and calculated. "Insurance. You never know when you'll need it." The clip lasted only 15 seconds, but it detonated across the internet like dynamite. Fans froze at the word insurance. This wasn't just drama anymore. This was blackmail. Cam had kept Chrissy's secret DNA tests as leverage, waiting for the exact moment to unleash them. And now, in the middle of a courtroom battle, he had pulled the trigger. Chrissy's meltdown suddenly made sense. Her uncontrollable sobbing, her pleas to stop the recordings from being played. She wasn't just embarrassed, she was terrified. Because she knew Cam was holding the receipts that could obliterate everything. Twitter turned into a war zone. One camp launched #JusticeForChrissy, painting her as a woman trapped in a nightmare orchestrated by manipulative men. Another doubled down on #ChrissyExposed, calling her the mastermind of Harlem's greatest betrayal. Meanwhile, YouTube commentators scrambled to upload deep dives dissecting every syllable of the leaked audio. Celebrities jumped into the fray. Cardi B retweeted the clip with 3 shock face emojis before deleting it minutes later. Remy Ma posted a cryptic message. "Some things can't be forgiven. Harlem knows." Even Fat Joe chimed in on Instagram Live, shaking his head as he muttered, "This ain't hip-hop. This is war." Meanwhile, inside sources whispered that Jim Jones was unraveling. One alleged friend claimed he had gone completely silent, refusing to answer calls even from family. Another claimed Jim had been seen pacing outside a Manhattan hotel at 2 a.m., muttering to himself, fists clenched. Fans speculated he had already heard the DNA files privately. The silence was his breaking point. And then came the bombshell email. An anonymous tip sent to 3 major gossip outlets contained an attached PDF, supposedly pulled directly from the DNA folder. The subject line read, "Paternity Confirmation." The report, though partially blurred, carried one devastating conclusion in bold: paternal relationship not confirmed with Jim Jones. The internet imploded. Fans gasped, screamed, collapsed into chaos. Was this proof Chrissy's child wasn't Jim's? Did this mean Cam was the father? Or was the name of the real father hiding in the redacted lines? Within minutes, hashtags like #NotJIMS, #Cam confirmed, and #HarlemBaby trended worldwide. But the storm didn't end there. Minutes later, another file surfaced, a second report. This one allegedly from a different clinic. Its conclusion contradicted the first paternal relationship established with Cameron. Cameron Giles, 2 reports, 2 conclusions. Total chaos. TikTok detectives built timelines connecting the leaks. Reddit sleuths debated over fonts and clinic headers, arguing which report looked more authentic. Twitter melted down into all caps, shouting matches. And in the middle of it all, Chrissy vanished. No posts, no statements, no sightings. The silence only made things worse. Fans speculated she was hiding under legal protection, or that she'd fled Harlem entirely. Rumors swirled of Chrissy, seeking private security while others swore she'd been spotted crying outside a law office downtown. The absence of her voice allowed the narrative to spiral completely out of control. Then, as if scripted for maximum drama, Cam posted a cryptic Instagram story, a black screen with the words, "Some truths destroy. Some truths free." He deleted it within minutes, but screenshots spread instantly. Fans lost their minds, convinced he was preparing to reveal the full, unredacted DNA reports in court. But just as the internet reached its breaking point, another recording surfaced. This time, allegedly Chrissy's voice during a private call. Her words cracked with despair. "It's not about him anymore. It's about family. If this comes out, everything ends." The word family detonated like a bomb. Fans immediately twisted the narrative. Did she mean Cam, who was practically Jim's brother? Or someone even closer, someone tied by blood? Twitter threads spiraled into terrifying territory, pointing fingers at Jim's relatives, associates. Anyone who could fit the puzzle. By the end of the second day of trial, the crowd outside the courthouse had doubled in size. Fans carried posters reading, "Who's the father?" and "Free the files." Reporters shoved cameras in every direction, desperate for a reaction. Inside, the judge struggled to keep control as lawyers bickered over admissibility. While Chrissy sobbed silently, her hands trembling as she clutched her phone, and then came Cam's smirk. Walking out of the courthouse surrounded by paparazzi, he said nothing but mouthed 2 words directly into a camera lens. Not finished. The clip went viral instantly. Fans slowed it down, replayed it, added dramatic music. Not finished. 2 words that sent chills across the internet. If the texts, the audio, the hotel footage, and the DNA reports were just the beginning. What else could he possibly have? That night, an anonymous Reddit thread dropped the biggest hint yet. The title read, "The Fourth Report." The post claimed there was yet another DNA file hidden inside the folder, one that contradicted both earlier leaks. The father, it alleged, wasn't Jim, wasn't Cam, but someone else entirely. The internet collapsed under the weight of speculation. Who could it be? A cousin? A business associate? Someone in Dipset's inner circle? Fans dissected every angle, every theory, desperate for answers. And just when it seemed the chaos couldn't get darker, one final anonymous post appeared. "Court adjourns tomorrow. The envelope will open." The third day of trial didn't feel like a court hearing. It felt like the Super Bowl of betrayal, a public execution disguised as due process. The courthouse was surrounded by fans, cameras, and protesters holding homemade signs. "Who's the father?" "Free the files." "Cam got receipts." The streets of Harlem looked like a battlefield, with police barricades straining against. A crowd that refused to be silenced. Inside, the tension was suffocating. Chrissy sat at the defendant's table, head down, face hidden behind oversized sunglasses. Her hand shook so violently she had to clutch the edge of the desk just to keep from collapsing. Jim Jones, seated in the gallery, looked hollow, his once fiery energy reduced to a cold, simmering silence. And then Cameron entered, calm, collected. Smirk plastered across his face like he had already won. The judge called for order. But everyone knew order had been lost days ago. Cam's lawyer slid another flash drive across the table. The infamous real file the internet had been whispering about for 48 hours straight. The clerk plugged it in. A hush fell over the courtroom, so thick you could hear cameras clicking in the hallway. The first file opened. More texts. Chrissy to Cam, if Jim ever finds out, we're finished. You promised this would stay between us. Cam's reply, I keep promises until I don't have to. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Twitter exploded with live updates. Fans screamed updates into their phones. The second file played an audio recording. Chrissy's voice cracked with desperation. I begged you to destroy it. I told you it would ruin me. Cam's paternal relationship not established with Jim Jones. Paternal relationship not established with Cameron. Paternal relationship established with redacted name. The name was blurred, protected by court order, but the damage was nuclear. The crowd erupted into chaos. Reporters screamed. The judge slammed her gavel in vain. Chrissy wailed, collapsing completely as officers rushed to steady her. Jim stormed out of the courtroom, shoving past reporters, his face twisted in rage. Cam leaned back in his chair, arms folded, smirk unshakable. The internet detonated. Hashtag fourth report. Trended worldwide. Fans speculated endlessly about the redacted name. Some swore it was a member of Jim's family. Others believed it was a close friend or a Dipset associate. Reddit threads turned into full-blown investigations, with fans comparing possible initials, clinic details, and timeline inconsistencies. TikTok creators posted dramatic reenactments, their captions screaming, "Who is the real father?" Then came the whispers from inside the courtroom. Reporters claimed the judge had received a sealed envelope containing the unredacted name. A journalist live tweeting the trial wrote, "Envelope handed to judge. Reaction is shock. She looks pale." Within minutes, screenshots of the tweet went viral. Fans demanded answers. Who was inside the envelope? Why wouldn't the judge reveal it? Outside, Harlem turned into chaos. Fans shouted at each other, some screaming Cam's name like he was a hero. Others crying for Chrissy. Others cursing Jim for years of secrecy. Police struggled to contain the mob as chants of read the name echoed through the streets, but the most shocking twist came hours later. When an anonymous Telegram channel uploaded a blurry screenshot of what it claimed was the unredacted report. The name wasn't Jim. It wasn't Cam. It was someone tied directly to Jim's bloodline. The internet stopped breathing. Betrayal wasn't just romantic anymore. It was familial. Harlem collapsed under the weight of speculation. Fans accusing cousins, brothers, uncles, anyone who could fit the timeline. Memes turned vicious. Headlines screamed louder. For the first time, Chrissy's silence felt less like shame and more like terror. Celebrities chimed in again, fanning the flames. 50 Cent posted a video laughing into the camera. Told y'all, Harlem politics always been dirty. Remy Ma tweeted, blood don't mean loyalty. Even Snoop Dogg cracked a joke on Instagram Live. Man Dipset need Maury more than they. Need a reunion tour. Meanwhile, Chrissy disappeared completely. No statements, no posts, nothing. Insiders whispered she was under medical supervision after her courtroom collapse. Others swore she was preparing her own evidence to counter Cam's nuclear strike. Jim vanished too, his social media wiped clean, his public appearances canceled. Only Cam remained visible, strolling out of the courthouse with his head held. High-tossing a single cryptic line to reporters, "This ain't over." The internet seized on those words instantly. Not over. The fourth report wasn't the end. What else was hiding in the shadows? Was there a fifth report? More recordings. Another secret folder? Theories spiraled into madness. Reddit threads speculated Chrissy had been protecting someone powerful, someone untouchable, which was why the judge refused to read the name aloud. TikTokers screamed into their cameras, convinced the envelope held the key to Harlem's darkest secret. Twitter devolved into chaos, fans accusing each other of lying, spreading fake leaks, and defending their favorite idols. And then, just before midnight, an anonymous Twitter account posted 3 chilling words: "Envelope will open, no context, no proof, just a promise." The world froze. Was the redacted name about to go public? Was Harlem about to face the ultimate betrayal? One that would destroy not just Chrissy, not just Jim, not just Cam, but the entire legacy they had built. The screen went dark. The account vanished. And the world was left hanging by a single thread. Desperate, hungry, terrified to know the truth hiding inside that envelope. And now we are here, dangling off the edge of the most dangerous cliff in Harlem history. Chrissy's courtroom collapse, Kamran's secret evidence, Jim's silence, and that sealed envelope sitting in the judge's hands, holding the unredacted name that could end everything. The texts, the audio, the hotel footage, the DNA reports. All of it was enough to break the internet, but this is the detonation we may never recover from. And if you think this story is finished, you couldn't be more wrong. The leaks are coming faster. Insiders are whispering louder. The evidence is stacking higher. Every hour, new files drop, new clips surface, and every single one rewrites everything we thought we knew. The truth isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. And when that envelope finally opens, the blast will level everything in its path. So here's what you need to do right now. Smash that like button to keep this story alive. Hit subscribe and turn on every notification, because the very next leak could hit tonight. And when it does, you're going to want to be the first to know. Don't let the lies win by staying quiet. Be part of the storm. Drop your theories in the comments below. Who's the real father? Why was the name redacted? And what's the next bombshell Kamran is holding back? This isn't gossip anymore. This is war. This is legacy. And the next chapter could destroy everything. Don't blink, because the envelope is about to open.